Welcome to Conversations with Asha and Steve, where communication matters. Join us as we discuss effective ways to communicate, bridge the gaps, and build long-lasting relationships within your business and life. Here are your hosts, Asha Prasad and Steve Harper.
Welcome to another edition of Conversations with Asha and Steve. I am Steve Harper, and with me, as always, is my incredible co-host, Dr. Asha Prasad. Asha, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Steve. How's it going?
It is going good. I am properly caffeinated and ready to rock and roll. We're starting something new, right? You know, in this, we're starting a new series. We just finished up the Banana Peels of Entrepreneurship, got rave reviews from the people that watched our videos and listened to it. I got a lot of great feedback like, hey, Steve, you're okay, but Dr. Asha is just solid money. So, you know, I got really, in all honesty, we got a lot of great feedback on that series, how helpful it was for people that were either in, you know, sort of the throes of entrepreneurship, thinking about entrepreneurship for their new year ahead, or, you know, are trying to sort of remake that career set, right, as it relates to entrepreneurship.
Exactly.
And so super excited about this new series. We wanted to bring something out that had some relevance, but it was a little more generalized because not everybody's an entrepreneur. Some people are, you know, out there just doing their thing. So what is this new series that we are going to be doing?
So the new series is about asking those burning questions, asking the questions that, you know, you may not have thought of, or that maybe you secretly have been asking yourself, but haven't said out loud.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. The
and
burning
really
questions that you
the
should
burning
be asking right now, right?
Exactly. Exactly. So, and there's so many of those, Steve, so many of those, right?
Yes, I mean, we will certainly have no shortage of topics there, but I think for these next few episodes, we're going to focus on a question per episode, right? So this first one, I think we probably just did this in reverse. I think I told you to I would introduce the topic, you would introduce the question, but we just, you know, we're very fluid here. We just roll with the punches. But our first question is, and it's a good one for this time of year, is how am I feeling right now? That's a question, a burning question that everybody should be asking.
Yes. You know what, Steve? I just would like to ask people, how many of you out there, and we'd love to hear from you, drop a comment wherever you're catching this, let us know. How many of you have ever asked yourself that question? Like, have ever hit the pause button and just said, gosh, how am I feeling? How am I feeling right now? I think this is really important, especially at the beginning of the year. We've just, you know, we've got almost the first month behind us. Well, we do have it behind us, really. And so it's kind of like, okay, how are things going? Have you just kind of had this continuum from last year into the new year, or take a moment to see exactly where you are and how are you feeling?
Yeah.
I think it's super important to know how you're feeling.
I do too. And I think it's not just your physical health that you're talking about. It's also your mental health. Where are you in the headspace? I can relate to this question and why it's critical and important. In my own life, I actually had a very important conference call I was going to participate in yesterday. And I was just, running and gunning. The whole day was crazy. Knew that this was on my schedule and literally had to realistically pause about 10 minutes before it started. And I realized that my head was not in the game. My head was not even focused on what the agenda was, what we were going to be covering. And it was a really important conversation that was about to take place on this conference call. And I had to actually ask myself this question. Wait, how am I feeling right now? What am I looking to get out of this conversation? And what am I going to bring to this to add value or to contribute in a productive, positive way? And it really required that mental timeout, right? To say, okay, how am I feeling right now? Well, I was like super jacked up on caffeine. So I'm like, okay, slow down, stop talking so fast, much like I'm doing right now. But at the end of the day, it's like, okay, I got to get control of that.
Exactly.
I needed to get my key points written down that I wanted to make sure to bring up, or at least not forget to ensure we covered them. And I needed to take a breath. And one of the things that I have started to get into the habit of before something big occurs, I need that 30 seconds or a couple of minutes of just zen, right? You know, a little bit of quiet, a little bit of meditation. So I popped in my AirPods, listened to just, some tunage that got me right. And then when I called into that conference call, I was just so much more present for it, right? But I
Right.
don't think I would have done that had I not used that opportunity in that space to ask that question,
Mhm.
and how differently that might have gone. Like I probably would have been like ridiculously overwhelming to the
Right.
people that were on that call. You're
Right.
saying, right? Like, oh yeah, I've been there. I've seen this. How do you?
I'm like, I've experienced that,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah,
I've
okay.
experienced that. Okay, yeah. Or unfocused, and unfocused just
Yeah.
means that you're not showing up as your true authentic self, and really you're wasting people's time when you do that, right?
Right.
So I think at the end of the day, I think the fact that this question, we're putting it on the table for people to think about, it has
Mhm.
applicability in so many ways, not just once a day, once a week, once a month.
No.
It's a legitimately moment to moment, situation by situation. How am I feeling about this situation?
Yeah, I think it's really important because to be present, I mean, we live so much of our lives not being present, not being aware. And what I mean by that is just really not being in the moment. We're so busy thinking about what's happening 5 minutes from now, 10 minutes from now, next hour, 10 years from now, whatever, or what happened, 2 years ago or 2 hours ago, whatever it is, that we're not getting in the present moment. And I think one of the best things to do, you had mentioned it too, Steve. One of the things I love to do before you do anything, before a meeting, before anything, is to take about a minute or two to center yourself, to
Yeah.
really get yourself, like check in with yourself. And it may be that you consciously ask, how am I feeling? Or you just take a really good deep breath in and then just let it out slowly, just kind of slow it down, get yourself grounded and centered, because it is true, especially whenever you have, no matter what it is, whatever phone call it is, whatever meeting it is, you want to show up putting your best foot forward. You
Yeah.
want to show up in the best way possible, not only to offer what you have to offer, but also to be able to listen,
Yeah.
really actively listen to other people. And I think this is something that we're missing. A lot of us are missing it, not intentionally, but we're missing it by just being so busy in our heads and so busy and very tense. Sometimes whenever you ask yourself, how am I feeling? You realize, oh my God, like I'm stressed out. I'm not present. I'm not focused. But you won't know it until you ask yourself that question,
Yeah, you're
right?
right. I mean,
Yeah.
and I think one of the things is asking yourself that question is the one thing, and then legitimately waiting for that answer to come, because it will come.
Exactly.
One of the things that we do in our Ripple membership is we do all these very unique events within it.
Mhm.
And one of the things that I just absolutely love this woman that is doing these sessions for us, called Finding Your Rhythm with Susie Turner. And she is actually
Mhm.
someone I met at a conference months and months ago, and I just knew I was going to find an avenue to work with her. But she teaches people how to find their rhythm, right? Through drumming.
Right.
She that's her true
That's
skill
awesome.
set and what she does. But one of the things that she and I recently were talking about was just how just being able to take 30 seconds, a minute
Mhm.
or two, and if you just put your hand over your heart and you close your eyes and you
Right.
allow yourself to just focus on your breathing, focus on
Mhm.
the rhythm of your heart, you'll sort of be able to check in with yourself and kind of recalibrate and
Exactly.
rebalance. So when you do that and you go through this activity and you ask yourself, how am I feeling? And the answer to that
Right.
question, I'm stressed out, or I'm anxious, or
Right.
I'm unsure about what's ahead, or I don't know how this is going to go, or I don't know how to respond to this email or this
Right.
situation. Oftentimes, just taking that pause, that pregnant pause for however long you can afford to do it, often the answers on what to do next, how to do
Yeah.
it next, and really how you should expect to perform in whatever capacity you might be, all of a sudden just comes to you. But
Mhm.
if you're all frazzled and all this crap
Yeah.
is going on and there's just, so much distraction and so many things, you don't have the ability to really truly tap into that inner,
Yeah.
perspective, right?
No, exactly. And I mean, the thing is that we've got this part of ourselves. We've got this higher self, this intuitive part that is there with the answers, right?
Yeah.
But if we don't calm down and we don't practice the pause and we don't slow it down, we're never going to be able to hear it. And
Right.
sometimes it's not even as much of hearing an answer right in that moment, but calming yourself down allows you to step into the moment and to know exactly what you need to do exactly at the right time. You know what to say, you know what to do, and you don't even have to put forth much effort to really think about it. A lot of times we get ourselves so worked up with, oh my God, I need to say this and I need to say that. And then it's like, just get into the moment. Like, take a deep breath. What are we doing? Okay, let's just go with it and just follow that flow. I think that that can serve you in every area of your life, not only before a big meeting, but before you have a conversation, before you hang out with friends, before you have a conversation with anybody in your life or do anything. I think that that really, does help. I will say this is, it's kind of interesting. I don't know if you know, you probably don't know this movie, Steve. Maybe I recommended it to you a long time ago. There was a movie. It's an Indian movie. It's called The Three Idiots. And there's a guy. There's one. It's really funny. It's really a funny movie. But one of the guys in there, his thing is because like everything kind of works out for him, and he's very chilled and very relaxed. And one of the things is he puts his hand on his heart and he just reminds himself all is well. Okay.
Ah, yeah.
And that's his mantra that he just keeps on
Mm,
repeating. All is well,
I
all is
love
well.
that.
And it's funny because I saw that movie years and years ago. And it's one of the things that I will catch myself doing every once in a while, especially when I'm really frazzled and I really don't know what to do. It's like that's how I check in with myself. Okay, I'm feeling really stressed out. I just put my hand on my heart. All is well. Take a few deep breaths, and then that's it. I walk into the meeting or get on the phone or whatever it is, and it
That's
works out
great.
beautifully.
That's
It's
great
really,
advice.
yeah.
Well, I have to ask, what did the other two idiots do?
They were exactly what they were. No, I'm just kidding. No, no, they learned a lot from him. They
Yeah.
learned a lot from him because they were so, so frazzled. And one of them was, lacking confidence. The other one was super, super confident and very cocky. And, just to learn how to balance that and be like, you know what? Everything's going to be okay. It's going to work out exactly the way it needs to. You don't have to get into a tizzy every time that things don't work out. Like, and if you do practice that pause and ask yourself this question of how am I feeling,
Yeah,
it changes the entire dynamic of
it
what's going
does.
on for you.
Absolutely. And that's the
Yeah,
thing. I think part of the reason we want to bring up some of these key questions is a lot of times we don't think to stop and ask them, right? We don't,
right,
and we've got others that we'll bring on future episodes that'll really get you thinking. But really, at the end of the day, I'd like to challenge our audience right now. How often are you running into this situation where,
hmm,
gosh, it might have gone differently if I had stopped and asked that question, if I had really checked in with myself? Or if I am asking that question, how honest and true am I going to be about the answer? And I
right,
find that there are a lot of situations where it's amazing how we can put our own, sort of our own spin on why things are the way they are, and I
right,
just don't have time. I'm too stressed out.
right,
All these seemingly legitimate but valid excuses, at least in our mind, when we put them
right,
forward. But when you actually look through some of those things, they're really just we're trying to create barriers and walls for hiding sort of the inconsistencies that we have in certain circumstances, why
exactly,
we're not good with our calendar or our time, why we aren't very attention focused with our relationships, why we are
right,
constantly leaving projects undone, and it's our own justification for not delivering in some capacity.
exactly,
And oftentimes when you ask those questions like, how am I feeling, when I don't complete a project? How am I feeling when I don't, show up with that friendship and fully
right,
participate in that conversation? How am I feeling when somebody brings me a problem at work and I may give an answer, but I don't give the right answer. I don't give a complete
right,
or the best possible answer.
hmm,
When somebody is legitimately seeking guidance and advice, you have to realize when you go back through your day, like just look at the last week, how many of these
hmm,
opportunities you've had that get put on your plate. We all have them. They all, we all
exactly,
deal with them in certain ways, some better than others, right? But at the end of the day, if you had stopped and said, let me just take a moment. How am I feeling, right?
yeah,
How does this make me feel? What are my concerns? What are my issues? How can I respond differently? How can I go
hmm,
about, one question will often lead to multiple questions. And all of those
exactly,
questions have power and value because the answers that you get from inside here, that
hmm.
is important to pay attention to and listen to. So,
I I think that that's a really good point. And also, Steve, I would like to say, if you see somebody that is really like frazzled and stressed out, maybe stop them and ask them how they're feeling.
Yes.
Get them to take that self-inquiry at that moment. It might just be a big game changer for them. You may be able to help them get really calm and focus and refocus for their day.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's really good. I think that's an excellent bit of advice for sure. Well, listen, we want to put these questions forward because we do want that feedback. Asha, how can people, share their perception of this question, how they're dealing with it, if they're actually utilizing this already, or if this is a new idea for them, and
Right.
what value they're pulling from this episode? How can they best share that with us?
Yeah, so I would say definitely go to our YouTube channel, drop a comment, subscribe, of course, to our
Yes,
YouTube channel so you get
please.
alerted
Yep.
for please do. We'd love to see you. And so that way you get alert of all our videos, our episodes and everything. But drop us a comment or contact us on social media, Facebook or Instagram.
Yep. Excellent.
Yes.
Well, I really enjoy this approach that we're taking. I know that it definitely is giving some value in a different way than we've done maybe in some of our other episodes
Yeah.
to people. And our goal is to put these things out on the table so you can increase your own self-awareness, but also maybe have some conversations like Asha suggested, people that you see that are stressed out, being able to contribute some of this. Hey, I listened to this on this podcast, or I heard
Right.
this idea from this amazing guru, Dr. Asha Prasad, and I wanted to put it on the table for you to contemplate and think about or have a conversation. These things become great ways to engage and connect and to continue to
Exactly.
build value, realistic value in the conversations that you're having out there, whether it be with your team, your family, your coworkers. It's an opportunity for you to
Absolutely.
continue to leverage this beyond us just sharing it with you directly, right? So
Exactly.
we certainly appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll be back again very soon with another episode of Conversations with Asha and Steve. But until then, Dr. Asha, have a great day.
You too, Steve. Till next time.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode of Conversations with Asha and Steve. We love to hear feedback and questions from our listeners. Please feel free to visit our Facebook page for more tips and information. You can also email us directly at info@ripplecentral.com for more information.